How y'all doing? It has been a minute since I've shared an espresso with you with my pinky out. Oh God, it's so hot. I just made it. Tastes a bit funky. I did just brush my teeth since I was getting ready to make a video, so maybe that's why. So I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Day right now when I'm filming this. I have literally no idea when you're actually gonna see this. So I thought this would be a fun idea for people to submit their music and for me to critique it, see if I can help. This is all in an effort to actually help. I get approached almost daily by someone asking for me to critique their mix or critique their production or something. And I really love the idea of helping. I love the idea of giving back. Unfortunately, there's not enough time in the day for me to actually critique, multiple pieces of work a week. There's just no possible way for me to do that. So I thought that this would be a cool video, so that way it will be a learning opportunity for everyone involved, as well as hopefully some of you will get something out of this. Now, as a disclaimer, I have to first say that I'm not the end-all be-all, the perfect opinion when it comes to music and productions and mixes. The things that I'm going to talk about on this video are my opinion, and these are the things that I would have done differently or the things that I liked about something, and you may not agree, and that's okay. The wonderful thing about music is there is no right and there is no wrong within music. It's only tastes and preferences. So as I'm working through this music, listening and critiquing, these are just going to be my preferences and my tastes that I will be talking about on this video, but hopefully it will help someone. So the one thing that we're all going to play nice with this one. I'm expecting the quality level of these songs and these productions and these mixes to be all over the place, from very, very good to very, very amateur, and that's okay. The point of this is to help and to help other people grow. So be nice in the comments. Don't be making fun of people. Don't be mean. Just be a nice person. I'm going to listen to them, and I'm going to make notes as I'm listening to it in real time, so you're actually going to watch me critique it in my own head, and then after we've listened to the song, I'm going to describe the things that I think could have been better or different or whatever. It's not going to be a short video because I really want to get all the way through each song so that way I can fully absorb it and really come to grips with what the artist was, or the producer or the mixer was trying to accomplish. I'm going to do my very best to say the name and give all the credits of every song that's going to be in this video, and I'm going to do my best to put links in the description below to all the artists' socials or websites, or at least their name and the title of the music. So whenever I feature someone's work, someone's art in these videos, it would mean the world to me and to them if you would go check them out, so that way I can keep making videos like this to help people. I hope you're all ready for me to butcher some names. I'm so bad at this. I'm so bad at this. So I'm gonna screw plenty of your names up, and I'm gonna go ahead and apologize for it, but I'm gonna do my very best. Okay, so the first song that I'm gonna listen to that got submitted is from Noah Frazee, F-R-A-Z-E-E. Hopefully I got that right. Looks like he mixed and mastered this song. The artist's name is Shelly Lore, L-O-R-E. All right, here we go.
Say it all the time, but how can words know what to do? How can I love you suffice when it's just a fraction of the truth? My heart could tell you all the best words ever spoke, but my mouth won't let them go. What do I do when the words hit the brakes on the end of my tongue, and your eyes won't let mine go? I think it's safe to say that time won't 'cause I can't keep them off of you. Telling me let's leave and go back to the house. You took the words right out of my mouth. What do I do when the words hit the brakes on the end of my tongue? And your eyes won't let mine go. I think it's safe to say that time won't be used to your kind of love. I think you know what I mean when I'm speechless. My heart can tell you all the best words ever spoke, but my mouth won't let 'em go. What do I do when the words hit the brakes on the end of my tongue? And your eyes won't let mine go. I think it's safe to say that time won't be used to your kind of love. I think you know what I mean when I'm speechless. Think you know what I mean when I'm speechless.
All right, Noah, great job. I dig it. So here are my critiques. Now again, personal preference. Your mileage may vary. If I was mixing and mastering this song, this is what I would have done. For me, the guitars were just a bit woofy. I would have liked a little bit more clarity out of them. Overall, all of the guitars. Now, I have no idea what the guitars you were given to mix sound like, so maybe you did the best with what you had. I would like the snare drum to have a little bit more presence, a little bit more crack, and a little bit more thump. It was just a little distant. To be honest though, all the drums overall were a little bit distant. Maybe the room mics were up a little much, or maybe there was a bit too much reverb on them. But personally, I would have liked to hear a little bit more close mics and a little bit more aggression out of it. It's kind of an upbeat, up-tempo, not a soft song, and so the drums could have been a little bit more aggressive in my opinion. Automation in the chorus, I would have loved to have heard the whole song grow and get bigger. Now, arrangement-wise in the production, there were some elements that helped the song grow and get bigger in the chorus. I love that extra guitar part, the higher guitar part that comes in the chorus. That was great. And where you placed that was really great in terms of trying to make the chorus grow. I probably would have automated things a little bit more intensely. Drum bus automation and guitars and bass and vocal all get a bump in the chorus. The chorus is kind of a bigger sounding chorus, and so I would have done whatever I could to enhance that and make it make it smack at the beginning of that chorus a little bit harder. The turnaround lead guitar after the solo, I probably would have tried to make that match in tone and in volume the lead vocal. I'm a big fan of always giving the ear something to listen to and everything, just kind of holding your attention from beginning to end of the song. I probably would have made that guitar a little bit louder and a little bit more present, so that way when the vocal stops in the chorus and that guitar takes over the focal point, it holds as much weight as the vocal. Probably wanted to hear a little bit more automation in effects on the vocal. From what I can hear, from what I can tell, it felt like the reverbs and delays and whatever all effects you had on the vocal was very much the same from beginning to the end of the song. I would have probably got a little bit more drastic with that automation, so that way things really kind of jumped and like there was just more definition where this is the chorus, this is the hook, and then this is the down section. Same thing with the guitar solo. I would have EQ'd and leveled it to better match the vocals, so that way again when the vocal stops and the solo guitar takes over, it maintains the same the same level of weight, the same level of intensity as the vocal. And then the breakdown at the end of the solo, right before the last chorus, again, just automation. I would have made that quieter and thinner and smaller sounding, so that way when the chorus does come back in, it just hits that much harder. Overall, I think great job, and I'm being picky when I'm saying all this stuff, so great job. Thank you so much for submitting your song. So the next song was sent in by Sean Staples. It was written by Sean himself, John Dutra, and Brandon Fernandez. So that's all the information I have on this song. Here we go.
I heard is you dig jacked up trucks, bad boys and slave tattoos, and you look real cute wearing cut off jeans, tan legs and cowgirl boots. What you think about my arm around you? Twist a top or two, you and me, baby, and a Chevy bench seat. Get your real good feeling on repeat. So come on, come on, come on, girl, let's spark it all night. You know I want you. Rocking in these headlights. Turn it on, turn it up. Backwards, feel good stuff. Pour another in your cup. Let's rock it all night. Well, we can kick it all night. Kick dust up, kick our boots off when the time is right. Girl, you're hotter than fire, got me burning up, watching your lips smell the gold Bud Light. So come on, come on, come on, girl, let's spark it all night. You know I want you, rocking in these headlights. Turn it on, turn it up, backwards, feel good stuff. Pour another in your cup. Let's spark it all night. Let's spark it, let's spark it.
Sean, very nice. I totally dig it. So I did see in Sean's message here that this song came out in 2014, or this song was produced in 2014. So this would have been at the very height of this genre of stuff. So this production style and this song style would have been spot on for that era. First thing I noticed is the intro, the instrumentation and the beatboxing and all that. Very cool. Totally dig it. I would have loved for all of the percussion throughout the whole song to be a bit more aggressive, a bit more in my face, a bit more of that like explosion characteristic and the way the reverb falls off of it. I would have liked to have heard more intensity out of pretty much all of the percussion. Also, the chorus is very much an explodey, big hit kind of chorus, and so I would have loved to hear the automation really make the song hit harder during that section. And that's a mixed critique. It felt like the production was pretty much there in terms of like extra instrumentation, and the intent of the production was to make the chorus explode. I feel like maybe it could have been a bit more intense or a bit more deliberate, or maybe the mix could have been a bit more drastic, a bit more aggressive. I would have loved to have heard more banjo. From what banjo I heard, I thought it sounded awesome. I would have loved to have heard more of that banjo. The solo kind of left me a bit underwhelmed, tonally, and the part written and the performance. I could have heard a more interesting, more memorable melody out of that solo. The tone could have been a little better, but that's a taste thing. But I really would have liked to have heard the solo get out of the way of the vocal. The solo happened, and then the vocal came back in, and the solo just kind of kept going with the same level of intensity and the same volume. And a couple things could have happened, in my opinion. The solo could have been written in a way that got out of the way of the vocal better when the vocal came back in, or in the mix, it should have been automated down or panned off or EQ'd in a way where it fought the vocal less once the vocal came back in. So I would have done something a little different there. Let's see. And then the down section before the last chorus, I would have loved for it to be like really down, like just the banjo and just the vocal and a little bit of percussion, or really, really down, so that way when the chorus comes back in, it hits that much harder. I talked in one of my previous videos about this kind of yin-yang thing, and everything's a balancing act, and nothing can be big without something else being small, and nothing can be loud without something else being quiet, nothing else can be crisp and in your face without something else being far away. And this is a really good example of that, in my opinion. The chorus is big and smacky and hitty, and it would have been so much more impressive if the down section was really, really down, so that way when it exploded again, it was an actual legitimate explosion. Other than that, totally dig it. I could have heard a little bit more vocal production in the choruses, a few more layers, a few more harmonies. I could have heard a little bit more in the vocal production side of things. Dig the song, really dig the song, especially for the time period. It's spot on for the time period, for the era that you worked on this song, so good job on that. Thank you so much for submitting your song. Okay, so the next one I'm going to go over was sent by Kelly Harris. This song is called Clay by a group called Raiin, Raiin. I'm sorry, I'm sure I butchered that, and I'm sorry. So Kelly produced, wrote, tracked, performed, and mixed this one. So instant kudos on that for doing like all of those things. It's a massive undertaking. So kudos to you already before I've even heard the song. Mostly interested in a mixing critique, but we're gonna go over all of it. Okay, here we go.
Fast car in the backstreet, slow kiss in the backseat, soft leather on your ass cheeks, pretty legs smooth as clay, smooth as clay, smooth as clay. Girl, you're the one I want around. I'll hold you down, now you down, now you down. Pour another round, let's get lifted off the ground. Money to spend, to be. Okay. It's a big wide world. I'll let you be free. Don't lie. Tryna hold you down. Oh, yeah. Ain't tryna hold you up. Oh, no way. Looking like a centerfold. I'ma fold you up. Gripping on your thighs when I'm pressing. Always leave a lasting impression. Bedroom bully. Talking on your body. Yeah, 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 yeah. Car in the backstreet, slow kissing in the backseat, soft leather on your ass cheeks, pretty legs smooth as clay. Smooth as clay, smooth as clay. Girl, you are the one I wanna run. I'll hold you down, now you down, now you down. Pour another round, let's get lifted off the ground. Smoking all this weed to myself, girl, you should help. The Molly's pure, the cocaine get damp in the summer air. Woke up like this, I know you woke up like this, that's your summer hair. Blow a summer kiss with your summer lips. They know life isn't fair, no life isn't fair. Winning and winning again. We make our own rules, play our own beats. Freak and we freak and we free. Freak till we sleep, rinse and repeat. Straight through the weed. Bedroom bully, tugging on your body. Yeah, 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 yeah. Thinking about it, I know you're thinking about it. Curious, I know you're about it. Thinking about it, I know you're thinking about it. Curious, I know you're about it.
Very nice, Kelly. I dig it. Thank you so much for sending it in. First of all, I want to say that it's super impressive that you wrote and tracked and performed and mixed that all yourself. Kudos to you. That's fantastic. That's a big accomplishment. So the first thing I would say is I would like to hear the intro shortened up a little bit, which turned into the turnaround after each hook. Probably needs shortened as well. If you ever look up like the Spotify skip rates, it's crazy how many people skip within like the first 10 seconds. I mean, it's like 38 or 40% of people skip like really, really quick. So especially for this genre of music, you want to grab people, all genres really, but you want to grab people really quickly and like pull them in, suck them in, and make sure they don't hit skip. So I would have probably shortened the intro up, and the turnarounds after each hook, after each chorus, I probably would have shortened up as well. So that way it keeps people a little bit more engaged the whole time. The other thing that I probably would have done is I would have worked on a different bass sound, like your bass synth. I probably would have found a couple different sounds so that way it grew in the hook, in the chorus, which I'm calling the smooth as clay part, the chorus, the hook. I would have loved to have heard like a little bit more aggressive bass, or a little bit more mid-range, a little bit more top end in that tone during that section. In the verses, pull that bass down a little bit, or a different sound altogether. So that way it just breaks it up a little bit more, keeps it a little bit more entertaining from beginning to end, and also helps set up the chorus, the hook, so that way when it hits, when it comes in, it's like, oh, this is the hook. This is the part that we sing along with. And then when the verse happens, it's a very obvious dynamic change down into the verse. So that's something that I probably would have done. I also would have loved a little bit more vocal production during the hook, during the smooth as clay part. I don't know how many vocal stacks you had there. Really sounded like just one vocal, and if it was more than one vocal, good job editing it and aligning it and putting it together. I would have loved to hear that vocal and another pair in unison, panned out a little bit, locked together really hard tuning and timing wise, and then maybe even a harmony, maybe even more than 3 vocals, but I would have loved to hear in that section the vocal grow and get much bigger and much more impressive sounding. I would have also loved to have heard a little bit more, especially in the verses, a little bit more happening instrumentation-wise in between the vocals, so that way there's more holding my attention. There were some pretty decent-sized gaps in the vocal lines, where vocal line and then a small instrumental section and then more vocals, and I would have liked to have heard more happening in those sections, so that way it helps retain the listener a little bit better when they're not able to sing along with the vocal. I would have loved to have heard that same chorus, that same hook, the smooth as clay part, again at the end of the song after the delayed vocal part, that little breakdown, which was very cool, by the way. I think that should have went into another hook, another chorus, the smooth as clay part. And then that's how the song should have ended. So thank you, Kelly, so much for submitting your song. Good job. Kudos to you. Okay, the next song was submitted by Robbie Valentine. What's up, Robbie? The band is called Voom, and the song is called Atraction. And let's see, credits. All the music and lyrics were by Robbie, guitars and bass and vocals by RV, drums by Kevin I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm sorry. Drums were tracked at Cove City Sound Studios by Glenn Cove. The guitar, bass, and vocals tracked at James Lynn Studio, and all the tracks were mixed by Jimmy T. Meslin, mastered by Brian Lucy at Magic Garden. Love Brian. Cool.
Satisfaction is all I'm asking, yeah. So give me action, give me attraction. I'm just acting, honest reaction. Satisfaction is all I'm asking, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So give me action, give me attraction. I'm just acting, honest reaction. Satisfaction is all I'm asking, yeah. So give me action, give me attraction. I'm just acting, honest reaction. Satisfaction is all I'm asking, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Robbie. Right on, man. Good job. Okay, so the first thing I might have done, again, these are all my tastes. I'm very impressed overall. Good job. The guitar has this AM radio thing in the intro, and then the band comes in and continues performing that same thing. Personally, I would have experimented at least with a solo or some sort of lead or some sort of additional instrumentation once the band kicks in. There's obviously a dynamic change between the AM radio guitar riff and when the band comes in, and so it's not that big of a deal, but I might have played around with something even more because you've already heard that riff, you already know the riff, and I would have tried to maybe build more on top of it rather than just having the band come in. May or may not have worked though, but that's something that I would have tried. I would have liked to heard the vocals up a little bit more in the chorus. The vocal production is very good. I totally dig the gang vocal style, and I dig everything about it. I just would have liked to have heard more of it in the chorus. I would, especially in the verses, I would have liked to have heard a little bit more instrumentation between the vocals to kind of just keep my ear grabbed, you know, little earworms here and there. Could be a guitar lick, could be a little addition in the riff of the rhythm guitars, but I would have tried to enhance the between the vocal sections to keep it more entertaining in between the vocals when you're not actually singing. I would have liked to have heard a little bit more thump on the snare drum. This is totally a taste thing. The snare drum sounded really good, was nice and aggressive, big sounding, lots of crack, totally dig it. I personally would have gotten a little bit more thud, a little bit more thump out of the snare drum. The solo EQ, I would have liked to have heard the tones of the guitar for the solo be a little bit more consistent with the tone of the vocal in the song. And so that way it just plays a little bit better and is a little bit more appealing and easy to listen to. So that way the solo comes in, and the solo, I love the tone of the solo, but I would have tried to get it to match the tone of the vocal a little bit better. So instead of being as mid-rangey and creamy as it was, I'd try to get it a little bit scratchier and a little bit more flat frequency response. There was a kind of a key change in the solo, like halfway through, that felt a little odd to me. I would have, the whole song takes place in like this key-wise and scale-wise in this very safe range, and every element in the song happens within this same scale. And I would have probably tried to maintain that through the entirety of the solo, so that way it just kind of came a little bit out of left field to me. The guitar playing was cool. I just would have paid a little bit more attention melodically and lick-wise to staying within the same scale and modes as the rest of the song and as the first part of the solo. And then the very last chorus in the double chorus, when the double chorus happens, so last chorus and then the double where it repeats, I would have loved to have heard either a lead guitar come back in there or some sort of octave melody or some sort of additional instrumentation, so that way it takes it up even another notch instead of just repeating the chorus again. But other than that, man, killer job. Absolutely love it. Thank you for submitting your song. Okay, so this next one was submitted by Brandt Carmichael. Brandt is 19, and he recorded most of this at his home. So already kudos to you, Brandt. Let's take a listen.
Well, hey girl, we can light this spark, throw it in park. Don't be afraid, girl, we can take it slow. Let your hair blow. We're in the wind, just the stars above. Slide on over in the cab of my truck. If you're down, I'm around. We can ditch this town. Come on, girl, let's go summertime cruising. Oh, what you got to lose, yeah? Windows down, the way we like to do it. Let's go summertime cruising. Summertime cruising. Summertime cruising. You pick the place, girl. I just got off work. Make sure you wear that shirt. I'm heading your way, girl. Oh, the way you look tonight. It would be a shame, girl, if we didn't go for a ride. Come on, girl, let's go summertime cruising. Oh, what you got to lose, yeah? Windows down, the way we like to do it. Let's go summertime cruising. Summertime. summertime cruising. Oh, what you got to lose, yeah? Windows down, the way we like to do it. Come on, girl, let's go summertime cruising. Oh, what you got to lose, yeah? Windows down, the way we like to do it. Let's go summertime cruising. Let's go summertime cruising. Come on, girl, just a summertime cruise. Windows down, just to me and you. Come on, girl, just a summertime cruise. Windows down, just to me and you.
Brandt. Wow. Fantastic job for being 19 and for doing this yourself. I'm totally impressed. Okay, so first thing that jumped out at me, I think your vocal performance is probably pretty good. If it were me producing you, I would have tried to pull out a performance that was a little bit more authentic, a little bit more believable maybe, and would have probably pushed to do a whole bunch of takes so that way I could comp together takes that sounded the best. Maybe you did that, maybe you didn't. My main issue with the vocal is that I think it should have been pocketed a little bit better and pitched a little bit better. And I would have, if I was producing you, I would have tried to get a performance out of you that needed the least amount of pocketing and pitching possible. But then I would have done whatever it took to take that vocal all the way home. By pocketing, what I mean is adjusting the timing of syllables so that way they land on the beat or intentionally where you want them off the beat. And so that way the rhythm of the vocal is smoother and more natural sounding and just a little bit more pleasing to listen to. As far as vocal pitching, it doesn't even sound like you pitched anything on there, so still kudos to you for being able to get that performance out without any pitch correction if that's what it was. I would have pitched the vocal so that way there's just some spots that could be fine-tuned pitch-wise a little bit better and could have made it overall a little bit more professional sound, a little bit more radio ready, if you will. I hate that term, honestly, but that's the only way that I know how to put it. Okay, I would have added some sort of more percussion in the chorus. It's kind of this big hit, slow, boom, down. So I would have probably added a shaker or some additional percussion. I would have started with a shaker in the chorus. I would have added some other rhythmic element to help move it along and keep the movement going. Maybe a banjo playing straight 16th notes. I would have done something else so that way, or maybe an acoustic strumming straight 16th notes, maybe all of those things. I would have just done something to create more of a sense of movement and make the song feel a little faster. I think the song is probably a pretty good tempo. Maybe you could have sped it up, 1 or 2 or 3 beats per minute, but overall the song is a pretty good tempo, so I would have just done some extra production things to make the song feel like it's faster than it is. This is something that I never say, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. The snare drum had a little bit too much thump to me. It was a little too woofy and a little too thumpy. I would have liked to have heard a little bit more crack out of the snare drum. And then the last thing is that last hit at the very end of the song. It caught me a little bit off guard. I would have either wanted to put another hit or two at that end of the song to follow the rest of the way through the chord progression and let the song resolve, or I would have placed that hit in a different spot timing wise so that way it felt a little bit more natural. And that is really all that I have. That I'm totally impressed for 19. That's crazy. Good job. Kudos to you, and thank you for submitting your song. Next song was submitted by Mike Cochran. Hope I didn't butcher your last name. The band is called Render the Hearts. The songwriters were Mike himself, Sonny Joe Cochran, and Joe Crow. Yeah, Joe Crow. Engineering, producer, and editing was by Mike Cochran, sorry. Let's see. Vocal engineering, vocal editing, and mixing was by TK King from Tornado House Studios. Mastering was by Mike Cervantes. the Foxborough, which I guess is probably his studio name. Let's check it out.
Remembering when it was innocent, when it felt effortless. Before I complicated the line of love and hatred, forgetting selflessness. Now I put myself aside. Love leaves selfishness behind. I choose this now. I will stand my ground. I won't hold back, 'cause I'm gonna tear these walls down. It's more than words that will change the world. A driving force when our hearts converge. That's what love is. That's what love is. Yeah, that's what love is. That's what love is. And now I know how simple it should be to love the least of these. Pushing my judgments aside, I will not leave them behind. They need you desperately. Yeah. I choose this now. I will stand my ground. I won't hold back, 'cause I'm gonna tear these walls down. It's more than words that will change the world. A driving force when our hearts converge. That's what love is. That's what love is. Yeah, that's what love is. That's what love
The only whole hearts were once broken by you. And in this world of broken hearts and open wounds, break ours to know where to pour yours into. Let us love the runner, the fearful, and the fallen, the wronged and led astray, the lives persecuted solely and absurdly by race, the ones the church pushed further and further away, the addict, the illegal, the gay, without any expectation for change. Hallelujah, that your love has no limits, no condition, no matter our place. We were loved at our worst before we could ever change. You loved us first, and we will love the same.
I choose this now. I will stand my ground. I won't hold back, 'cause I'm gonna tear these walls down. It's more than words that will change the world. A driving force when our hearts converge. That's what love is. That's what love is. Yeah, that's what love is. That's what love is.
Wow. Mike. Good job, man. That was awesome. That was really awesome. A lot of these critiques that I have are me being very, very picky, because overall I think that was fantastic. So let's get right to it though. There is a room sound on the vocal in the very intro of the song before the instrumentation all kicks in. I don't know if that vocal was recorded in a room that wasn't very well treated, or if that room reverb was intentionally placed on the vocal. It was a little distracting to me before the band kicks in, before the instrumentation kicks in. So I would have either had that vocal more dry or chose a less roomy reverb, a longer, deeper, quieter, cathedral plate, whatever. So that was the first thing that I noticed. I would have loved to have heard the vocals a little bit louder in the pre-chorus. The vocals up and more presence and the O's in the hook of the song. I would have just loved overall just more vocal and not just a mixed thing, like a little bit more presence, a little bit more crispiness, but just a little bit more, because the vocal production is pretty impressive, and I would have liked to have shown that off. If I was mixing the song, I would have shown that off a bit more. Love the stop. I don't know where it was, but I reacted to it in the video. The stop totally catches me off guard, and how it comes back in totally catches me off guard, but in a good way, in a like, oh, that was cool. Love it. Good job on that. I would have worked a bit more on growing the frequency range during the That's What Love Is part, the big hooky part. I'm a big fan of in the choruses, the song should get louder and the song should get taller, what I say. So more happening in the upper registers and more happening deeper in the song. And so I would have maybe added some sort of an octave guitar or some sort of chimey delay guitar or some sort of synth or string, or I would have maybe added something else so that way the frequency range of that part gets taller and there's more happening up high. That's just something that I personally do in my productions to try to help the chorus or the part that hits be even bigger. It has to be louder and taller, more happening up high and more happening down low. So oftentimes I will play the bass an octave down, or certain notes of the chord progression on the bass will be played an octave down, or just a deeper synthesizer, bass synthesizer or something, just making it taller. I would have maybe done that. The vocal melody that's happening during the talking bit in the bridge, it was a little distracting to me. I would have liked to have soaked it in reverb and pushed it back a little bit. Love the part. I don't think that the part should be taken out, but the focal point of that part of the song, in my opinion, should be the talking section. And so pushing that melodic vocal back further in the mix, drowning it in reverb, some EQ, maybe a little bit darker EQ, so that way it pushes it away from you in the mix and allows you to focus on just the talking part more. That's something that I would have done. And then the last thing is the entire talking part itself. Lyrically, like, the talking points are very good and very valid, and I don't have any issue with the subject matter whatsoever, but it totally did lose me in terms of a song. The song is 4 minutes and 5 seconds, and so that's way long for radio, in my opinion. You really want to, 3:45 is like really kind of the max that you want to try to be for radio, and if you can get down under 3:30, that's even better. So if I was producing this song, I would have probably tried to either do a radio edit, a separate version of the song for radio, or I would have tried to tweak the lyrics of that talking section in some way to get the same point across, the same vibe across, but in a much, much shorter fashion. So that is the changes that I would have made there. Overall, man, fantastic job. Thank you for submitting your song. It's super awesome. Thank you. Okay, so the next song was submitted by David DiMuzio. Hope I didn't butcher your last name, David. Thank you so much for submitting your song. David has a pretty big YouTube channel himself, so as with all of these artists that you've heard, make sure you check links in the description. I'm going to do my best to link everyone in the description so you can go check them out if you liked what you heard. David submitted the song called Somewhere, Somehow, and it looks, by what David said in his email, it looks like he recorded and mixed this himself, mostly looking for a mix critique on this one. So here we go.
Standing in our silence, I hear my heart beating. love inside deep down that goes without saying. Don't say, but I'll tell you just the same. That love will fan the flame, and that flame will warm the heart that's waiting. You are mine, you are mine, and I'll wait. It may take some time. Tell me if it takes a lifetime. And somewhere far beyond today, I will find a way to find you. And somehow, through the lonely nights, I will leave a light in the dark. Somewhere alone, I will be praying, bringing me home. I know that somehow our love will lead me to your door. And somewhere far beyond today, I will find a way to find you. And somehow, through the lonely night, I will leave a light in the dark. Let it lead me to your heart. Let it lead me to your heart. Let it lead me to your heart.
Awesome job, David. That was really good. I totally dig it. Thank you for submitting this. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to hear is a bit more presence in the vocal. The vocals, both of them have really nice top end. The top end is very kind of sizzly and airy and in a smooth, pleasant way, not in a harsh way. But I feel like both, mainly I'm assuming it's your vocal, mainly the male vocal is lacking a little bit in the maybe like 1.5 to 2.5 range. I would have liked to hear it a little bit more mid-range push to have a little bit more presence in that way to complement the airiness. It sounds just a little bit scooped for my ears. Let's see. I would have loved to have heard some of this might touch on production as much as mix. Maybe there's something that you could have done in the mix to solve this, but I would have loved to heard the choruses have bigger instrumentation. The song to me was very much kind of the same from beginning to end until the very end of the song, and so I would have loved to have heard more instrumentation come and go between the verses and the choruses, and I would have loved to have heard the mix accentuate that more. The drums get louder, and quieter, or bigger and smaller, or harder and lighter, however you would want to accomplish that. I would have loved to heard the percussion and the rest of the instrumentation change in dynamic and in intensity between the verses and the choruses. The pre-chorus vocals, to me, I don't really know what I would have done to solve this. It probably is an arrangement issue. The vocals, the male and female vocal, were kind of fighting each other, in my opinion. It might have been a mix thing. It could have been a performance thing where each of you just kind of got out of each other's way faster, so that way it was more of a call and answer thing rather than two vocals happening simultaneously. It could have also been maybe enhanced in the mix with automation. If I was mixing that song, rather than having them panned as hard as they were, I would have kept them more up the center, and then I would have automated the volume in and out so that way they got out of their way better, out of each other's way better. And so that's what I would have done in the mix had I been given that song just like that to mix. However, there probably is a way to arrange that in a way where the vocals are, more call and answer and like further apart, not stepping on each other as much. automation and chorus, I already said that. The strings at the very end, they sound very good. It felt a little weird to me that the strings only came in on the left side with nothing else to balance it on the right. So you've got this kind of nice spread, stereo spread throughout the entire song where everything's fairly evenly balanced. And then all of a sudden these strings come in on the left. That kind of threw me off a little bit. I would have loved to have heard those either panned left and right or split that arrangement up. So maybe you've got violins and cellos, or, you know, however you want to do that. There's a multitude of ways that you could have maybe enhanced that and made it a little bit more balanced sounding. But so that was my first thought when the strings came in. However, that thought was kind of confirmed when the vocal came back in, panned on the same side as the strings. I think it was about 20 seconds to go till the end of the song. And so now all of the things happening are happening on one side, and there was almost nothing happening on the other side. That's something that I would have, either in production or in the mix, I would have maybe tweaked that arrangement so that way that was a little bit more evenly distributed across the stereo spectrum. This is just a preference of mine. Some of you may completely disagree with that. I am real OCD about things balancing each other out, and so if something comes in over here, something kind of needs to come in over here or get automated up, so that way the mix doesn't feel lopsided. As something that I pay a lot of attention to. So my suggestion for that probably would have been programmed or tracking, whichever those strings were, to actually separate them out, probably like violins and cellos or violas or however, and like pan them separately. That's probably what I would have done. Overall, awesome song. Totally dig it. Great job. Thank you for submitting your song. It was great. That was crazy, guys. That was awesome. Unfortunately, I had so many submissions that there's absolutely no way that I could have gotten through them all. I really appreciate all of you guys submitting your songs. There were a lot of you guys that didn't submit downloadable links, and I very specifically requested downloadable links so I could download the music and play it in my own at my own free will without internet. So next time, make sure you guys send downloadable links. For those of you that are just watching this on YouTube and don't follow me on social media, this was posted on Facebook and Instagram. So if you're not following me on Facebook or on Instagram, hit me up on both, so that way the next time I open up for submissions for videos like this, and there's going to be a bunch of other videos of a similar sort of thing that's kind of interactive like this, that you'll see the post and that hopefully you can be a part of this. I think this is probably going to be a regular thing. If you like this, drop me a comment and let me know if you got something from this, or if you want me to keep doing these videos. I think this might turn into kind of a regular thing. I had a lot of fun doing this. I'm totally blown away by some of the music that was submitted, and so that was super cool. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe and the bell icon next to the subscribe so you get notified when videos like this go live. It means the world to me. I have a whole bunch of cool videos coming up that I promise you guys aren't going to want to miss. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up on this one and drop me a comment if you liked it or if you got something from it. I can't thank you guys enough for watching and for sharing with your friends and for all the support. And I hope that this helps someone, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful new year. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.